started here. I decided in my selection this morning that I'd preach on a different topic. And I've been hammering, sometimes I hammer topics for a while, that the world of flesh and the devil. I think I preached 5 sermons in a row that this is 25 years. World of flesh and the devil. I preached a sermon once, 9/11, and anybody remember what the title of the sermon was? It was right after 9/11. What were they called? What did they call those people that slammed the planes in there? What do they call them? Terrorists. Terrorists. I preached the terrorist. Well, who was the terrorist that I preached?
Devil.
It wasn't the
devil. Devil.
The real terrorist is the devil. And I think I preached 4 or 5 sermons in a row of the terrorist. And then I remember, I can't find it. I pulled it out again later, like years later, and preached the terrorist again. So I preached these sermons over, or a certain topic over, and I'm pretty well done preaching over and over the same thing, because it seems like we're not getting it. It kind of reminds me of my wife and myself. She was mad at me last night. She was mad at me. Won't you go? It had something to do with that you went to lunch and the wife fell down. And she says, I can't hardly walk, and you won't go down there. And she was mad at me. And I said, listen, I'm in bed, I'm staying in bed. She was in bed, and she wanted me to go down and make sure that the door was locked or the lights were off or whatever, because a lad here wasn't home yet. They were playing games with their cousins. But here's what she used to do, and she's good at it. You call that pouting. She could pout like you can't believe she would pout. So she would pout, and I thought, I wonder what morning's going to be like when we wake up. But you see, she woke up in the morning and it was honey this and honey that, and so she doesn't pout like she does. I've come to the conclusion that some of you here pout. Now, I have people here right now, they've been pouting for 2 years at least. At least 2 years. That lower lip is out, and some of you here have inherited that trait. And I know you're listening. And you're pouting like crazy. Well, stop pouting. You've been pouting. Well, just stop pouting. I don't hold a grudge, and I don't pout. I'll pout for 10 minutes, and they'll say, hey, you're cooking dinner, and then we start talking, and we start talking again. So I don't pout for a long time, but some people, does he pout or does she pout? Or do you both pout, or don't you pout at all?
Take turns.
You take turns pouting. So you take turns pouting. But you see, he might not last near as long as you, or vice versa. I don't know. This is between you two. But she would hold out. She could hold out for a week. But some people can pout for a long time.
4 years.
Huh? Oh, no, they've been doing it since they've been apart. Yeah, they're pouting. And so people pout. And you need to bury that sin, man. And just stop pouting. It ain't worth it. So I want you to turn to Deuteronomy 32, verse 22. This is the first time and first place in the Bible where this word shows up. And I thought we would preach this. Who was the entertainment Sunday morning? We discussed his name today, my dear. The entertainment on Sunday morning, it was an amateur show. And it's not the 5. I can't think of his name. I was supposed to go. Oh, Gene Carroll. I gotta write that down. I don't want to forget that. Gene Carroll. The Gene Carroll. Anybody here remember the Gene Carroll show? The Gene Carroll show. You don't remember it. He was nationally known. It was local here. But it was amateur hour. They would come on and perform. I want to preach on the place called hell. The place, listen, on some have compassion. Or, no, you need to put that down. Yeah, and look this way, right at me. There you go. You want to move to the front row where the action's going to be? No. On some have compassion, making a difference. Others save with fear. Where's that found in the Bible? Jude what? It's either verse 22, 23, or 24. On some have compassion, making a difference. It makes a difference. On others, you save with fear. It goes on hating even the fire that you're spotted with the fire. They're hating that. But you save some people with fear. With fear. And it's been a long time since I've preached on this. And so I thought, why don't we do this? I was telling Joe about what we would do, you know, as kids, what we did, or as a young adult what I did. I built a, in fact, why don't we first go to the Word of God. Deuteronomy 32, verse 22, is where hell appears. For a fire is kindled in mine anger, and shall burn unto the lowest hell, and shall consume the earth with her increase, and set on fire the foundations of the mountains. So I want to do a video where I wanted to do it with Steve. He's just driving in the car. He doesn't say anything. He's just driving in the car and he's musing. He says what he's saying off camera because it's going to be, like in this last ad, he's thinking it. And so he doesn't have to memorize it. He's just going to read it with the right emotion and all. And then I'm going to show up with the hearse. And it's time, you know, it's too late now, buddy. You've been putting it off and putting it off. You're going. I'm not saying somebody has to play the part. I'm not saying Steve is lost. You know, I got one got offended about what I put him in a position. You got me probably where you wanted me. And I said, man, somebody's got to play the part. Right? I thought it was strange, you know. But somebody has to play the part. So, I wanted to do that with Steve. It wasn't Steve that got upset. You know, he's gone home here. And I wanted to do the dog one with you. You, Steve, and your dog. And we'll find a place to do that. But sometimes people just need to know that hell is hot and you're going to go there if you're damned. If you're lost, you're going to go there. And if we get a burden for this, then you're going to be...
Should I pass out a card for catchingthe.com? What will they think and what will they think of me and what will they say?
Listen, sister, you got to realize they're damned and they're going to hell and they need this. They're damned, they're going to hell, they're going to burn forever. So my father, as a young boy, he could have been 10. They would make bombs. So this would be like 1915, 1916. They would make bombs. My dad was too young for World War I and too old for World War II. He was the guy in between. But before World War I started, they would make explosives. And the pharmacy isn't like the pharmacy that you and I go to at a drugstore. You go to the pharmacy like it's in that,
It's a Wonderful Life.
there you go. It's a Wonderful Life. It's a real pharmacy. All the chemicals are up on the wall. It's not prepackaged where they get the pills down and put them in a little container. They would actually make it, the pharmaceutical logo is the mug and the pistol or whatever that is, and they smash it. They actually performed and did this stuff. You know, to get grass seed, you don't go buy grass seed. You went to the pharmacy and out back, there was the barn, and well, you want grass seed? Well, they'd go out to the barn and they move the hay off. This, my dad's telling me the story. You go in there at Tin Canyon, reach under there because all the seeds would float to the bottom. If you wanted paint, you didn't go get Benjamin Moore or name off another one. Sherwin-Williams. You didn't get all that paint. You made your own paint. You want to know where lead paint came from? Is you buy a gallon of linseed oil, then you buy a packet of colored lead flakes. And then you mix that to the color you want. You put those colored, whatever the color was, red, green, blue, whatever it was, and then you mix that and that was your paint. So it was linseed oil and lead flakes that were mixed in there and it became paint. That's how you made paint. Well, be thankful we have it the way it is today. Would you want to go get linseed oil and start mixing that stuff? Well, they would make their own bombs. They would go to the pharmacy, and there's 3 ingredients to gunpowder, and I don't know what they are. I would have to say it's phosphorus, sulfur, and something else. I don't know. But the kids would go to one pharmacy, and they would, I've told this story before, and you get the sulfur from, give me 1 pound of sulfur. Then you go to another pharmacy, and then you say, give me 1 pound of phosphorus, whatever the combination is. Then you go to another one, and my dad would say, the pharmacist wouldn't catch on probably too late, like, what are these kids up to? And they get the 3rd item, and then they would go and mix it together and put it in a packet. It's not going to be a Ziploc bag. Today's going to be in a paper bag or in a coin envelope. And you made these packets in a bag, a brown paper bag. So they would go down to the trolley. By now, it's not horse-drawn trolleys. It's electric trolley. You go down to where the trolley is, and you lay it on the tracks. This is right downtown Cleveland, and they're chugging along. It's like the bus system, but it's electric. And when they roll, they hide, they put the packet on there, and when they roll over it with the trolley, my dad said it would almost blow the trolley off the tracks. It would go kaboom, and then the trolley would stop. The conductor would get off, and he's looking around like, what happened? What happened? Then he tried to figure, who knows what. He'd get back in the trolley and go again. You would make gunpowder. Well, we would do the same thing not as kids, but I taught the kids how to make what we called I don't know what it's called in prison, a zip gun. You drill a hole in a piece of rod stock and you make a plunger for it, and you fill it up with gunpowder. How did you get gunpowder back in 1963? You didn't go to a pharmacy.
Mattel.
It was on Ohio blue tip matches. You can still get them if you get on your clicker and you say Ohio. You can't go to the store and get them, see. And you go Ohio blue tip matches.
Hardware store.
I don't even think you get them there. And you log on. You get them online, but you break the blue tip off. It's just like a Western. They go like this and light up their cigarette with it. And so you break those off, you put them in there, and you put the plunger in there. And when you smack the two together, you hook them up with leather, and you smack it together. It's a huge explosion. It sounds like somebody shot a shotgun. So when we had our children that we invited into the house, the very first week, they started a fire in their bedroom. That's a big no-no, and that is your first-class ticket out of the house, if the county knows. Well, they didn't find out about that. I confiscated all the matches. Well, we had them for, we had them for years. Well, Anthony went and got the matches. And Lee was trying to start a fire. He was trying to start a fire with a lighter, and I always liked when my dad was smoking way back, the smell of his lighter because it gives an odor when you light that fluid. It's not like lighters today. You light that fluid. It's like smelling when you're pumping gas. You don't smell that today. But the old lighter, no, this is long before that. We're talking 1930. He liked that, and the smell of that, I always liked that smell. Yeah, whatever it is. So Anthony had that.
Lighter fluid?
I had these sores in my throat for years because we burned in the fireplace and I didn't know what was causing it. Anthony would light a match. This is near the end. He lit a match. We're snoring away. All of a sudden, I smelled. I said, I got up and I went in his bedroom. I said, did you light a match? Well, see, it was wintertime. It went out the window. The fumes up the side of the house, over the house, to the back of that one match, to the back of the odor, to the back of the house and into our window, and I smelled it. It didn't go across the hallway. And so oh no. I went back to bed. Happened again. I said, are you sure you did light a match? Oh no. Oh no. It was, I think, the third time. I said, you lit a match. I said, give me the matches. His pockets were bulging. You could see the tips of them. His pockets were bulging. The minute we got rid of that fireplace, within 4 weeks, I had it, the sores for years. All the sores went away. For some reason it gave me, I went to see every witch doctor in town, and none of them could help me. Went through the Cleveland Clinic, they cut out my uvula, you know, the punching bag. They did not an autopsy, they did a biopsy. And they couldn't find anything wrong. The moment we got rid of the fireplace, all of that went away. I had it for years because we burned. For some reason it affects me. Fires. What are the three things? Maybe Joe, you know. It's fire, and they've said it's no longer, there's three elements or three something. It's fire, wind, and something else that they cannot explain. They can't explain fire, they cannot explain wind. It's fire, wind, and something else. There's three things. I can't think of what it is. But they say, well, we don't teach that anymore. They don't teach. What do they teach in school? What do they teach in school? Hell. They don't teach hell. The place called hell. Van Gogh painted hell. That's what he's noted for. There are theologians that deny that it is hell. It's really hell. Well, hell really doesn't mean hell. It is mentioned 53 times in the Bible. It is not the grave. It is not the pit. It is not paradise. It is not the great gulf. It is not the abyss. It is not the bottomless pit. It is not Hades. It is not Sheol. It is not the unseen world. It is hell. It is hell. Hell is the topic most preached. It is the topic that is preached most by the meek and mild, Jesus Christ. It has gates. The gates of hell shall not prevail against it. Now I want to do this ad with the little maid gets on the RTA bus. I'd like to then get the bus that she gets on that says, what does it say? What does it say?
Too late.
Oh yeah, thank you. Too late. It is above the gates of hell. Get it on that bus. And she gets on there and she's going to witness to somebody. And she's going to say bye and get off the bus. But we'll all be on the bus with her, pretending we don't know her, and somebody's going to follow the bus and pick her up, you know. So she's not going to get lost, but it'll be the little maid. See, a little maid can win people to Jesus. Why are you so sad? I know a man that can help you. His name is Jesus. Hell is the topic that's most preached by Jesus. The gates of hell shall not prevail against it. It has gates. Its gates will welcome all those that reject the Lord Jesus Christ as their Savior. By the way, this is a short sermon. I had a big intro. So don't get worried. Come here. How old are you? You can ask any 5-year-old. Point to heaven. Point to hell. You got it? Right? It is located down there. Let them go down quick into hell. Hell from beneath is moved from thee. Thou shalt be brought down to hell. I cast them down to hell. They also went down into hell. Those are all verses. Down! It's down there. I wanted Benji to do one. He's dressed up in a cap and gown. He's a professor. He draws a circle. The diameter, the circumference of the earth divided by pi. Probably we'll lose the whole crowd because they think, cornbread are square. That pi are round, they can't figure that out. But that's the diameter of hell. You 7,734 miles, and you flip that over, and you flip that number upside down, it spells hell. That's the diameter of hell. It is hell. It is where Jonah went when he was in the belly of the whale. His body in the belly and his soul in hell. He prayed from hell. He made a vow from hell. And he is a type of Jesus Christ. The Bible said he went down to hell. It is hell. And it is hot. It is hot. The fire is kindled by God's anger. Deuteronomy 32, our verse 22. For fire is kindled in my anger. He sets the temperature and the fire. God does that. It is hot. Hot. Can you start a fire by rubbing 2 sticks together?
Oh, yeah.
Well, if you watch Andy Griffith, Barney's out there rubbing them together. Did he ever start one? No. Barney never started one. He could rub that from now to doomsday. It ain't gonna start. Why? All right? Little scientific stuff. The flash point is too high. You'd have to rub those sticks like some kind of a mad dog to get whatever wood it was to ignite. So whenever you see them in a movie and they're rubbing this and finally it starts, and they carry this stuff around them, it's because the material they're using, its flash point is low. It's low enough to ignite. It's called the flash point. But hell is hot. Real hot. I knew a man, I didn't know a man, he worked for us. It was a friend of my dad's in the 1920s. And they made shot abrasive in town. And it was a black man. He went up to the top where, how they make metal shot abrasive beads, these metal shot, is they blow it in it's molten metal, they blow it over this vat of water, and it falls like raindrops. And when it hits the water, it solidifies. So it solidifies in different sizes, small, medium, and large. They run it through a screen and they sort it out. If you want heavy stuff, you can order that. You can order medium, you can order light. All of that stuff, that your car, it's all been rolled out. There's little pin marks in it so it can hold the paint. But when you throw molten metal over a water vat, that water gets boiling hot. Well, he went up there to do some maintenance thing, and the railing was down. He fell in. How do they get the skin off a pig? They throw him in boiling water to strip the skin off. He fell in, he screamed, they pulled him out and stripped the skin off his body from the crown of his head to the sole of his feet. He lived a day or two, died. I'm just here to tell you that hell is hot. Hell is hot. Hell will melt rocks. All right, when they down that blast furnace, they never shut them down. They get in there with asbestos suits. Oh, the word asbestos. He said that publicly. They get in there to re-brick it, right? And the slag comes off the top. It melts rocks. It shall consume, Deuteronomy 32:22, it shall consume the earth with their increase and set on fire the foundations of the mountains. Like a volcano, the foundation of the mountains. Matthew 5:22, hell is called hellfire. All right? When I grew up on Richmond Road, we had a potbelly stove in the basement. And we burned all of our trash. I mean, you didn't have trash like today. My goodness. You think trash was, that's half of people's life. We burned all our trash in this potbelly stove and went up the chimney. And I'm down there I'm bored as can be. And we're burning the stuff in there, all the paper, everything we burned. And then I would take water. And just for fun, like water in a bucket like this, and I'd take water, and the stove it's not red hot, but it's hot. And I would go like this. The water never hits the cast iron. It dances on the top. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, it dances on the top. If you're a cook, you ought to know that when you're working on a hot stove. It dances on it, never touches it. It turns the steam to go. You know what is the most dangerous explosion ever? Is it, see, if you're running, what is the fuel that we had was wood and paper. What's the fuel back 120 years ago in a standard stove? What is the fuel?
Coal?
Nope. That would be before that, and the residue is called clinkers. What is the liquid fuel? John D. Rockefeller, that's how he made his millions. He
Oil.
could make it on gasoline.
Oil?
Yeah. Kerosene.
Kerosene.
If kerosene hits that, it does not explode. It turns into a thick white cloud.
Ouch.
Immediately, this thick white cloud, if you light that, I can't see, light a match, please. And you light that, it'll blow you to kingdom come. Probably why a lot of houses blew up years ago. This. What's going on in Iran? They're calling they want the dust, the uranium dust. Well, the reaction that they call that is a fission reactor, where it separates and creates heat. All this is, a nuclear reactor is nothing more than the same as burning coal or wood. They're heating water to make superheated steam to turn a turbine. That turbine, and it goes round and round, and the music goes round and round. It turns the turbine, it turns this motor, this generator, which is the reverse of a motor, that creates electrical power. So when you plug your toaster in, it works. The only thing different, instead of using coal, they use the nuclear power. All they're interested in is creating heat. That's all that does. But the opposite of that, of a fission reactor, is a fusion reactor. When they join the two together, they store spent fuel, they store it someplace, they bury it, in the hopes that one day we will have a fusion reactor. They'll bring that back, put it in a fusion reactor. It creates always something a little less, because there's no perpetual motion machine. And then you stick it back in a fission, then from a fission to a fusion, from fusion to fission. But they haven't done that because it's as hot as the sun. There's nothing that can contain it. We're talking hot. Hot. It isn't 3,000 20,000 degrees of what's in that blast furnace. It's like 20,000. It's the temperature of the sun. It is hell. The place called hell, it is hell. It is hot. And it is horrible. Hell and destruction are never full. And in hell he lift up his eyes, being torments. The fire that says it is never enough. It is everlasting fire. It is everlasting punishment. It is everlasting destruction. You know, we have these conspirators. There's conspirators today under every rock. You know what I do? I just sit there like this. And I give up. I just listen. See, when those planes hit the Twin Towers, then they'll say, well, see, Bush, what they did is there are people that went in there under the cover of night, and all the way up they set these charges. And if you look closely at the video, you'll see all the charges that went off, and the building collapsed. See, when they went in there and that fire started, that building became a chimney. Well, you think you know everything? There's no conspiracy. That's a chimney. And when that air, you know what they call that in a forest fire? That's called a fire storm. It's a firestorm. The fire creates its own wind because it's so hot and it's going up so fast. It draws that wind in, and they can't control it. It's out of control. You know, I tried to save the lawn furniture. Finally, they give up and they throw the lawn furniture on the fire because you're not going to save it. It's called a firestorm. So it created a chimney. It will melt marble. It will melt the steel just like that blast furnace, until it crumbles and collapses. That's what caused it. It wasn't some secret agent man. Secret agent man going in there setting charges. I mean, you got to have a heroin nightmare to come up with that stuff. Hell is so horrible, it is called damnation. Damnation. How can ye escape the damnation of hell? It is horrible. And for some people, and for most people, it is home. Most will make their bed there. The wicked shall be turned into hell. Without Christ, it will be, without Jesus Christ, it will be your home. Your home. You needn't worry if there's room for you there either. Because the Bible says hell hath enlarged herself. Hell from beneath is moved for thee, it says, to meet thee at thy coming. For the damned there will be a homecoming. The rich man in Luke 16 is still there, and he makes his home there. The glow and the coals may seem to be far off, but as a person grows older, the embers grow hotter. We used to witness downtown when it was a hot place to go down there at the wharf. What they call that? They would go down there for a big whoop-up down there. Well, we would go down there while they're all getting drunk. Down there, we're passing out tracks. We would come up from down in the flats, come up on the flats, and we'd turn around and look. Be pitch black up top where the terminal is and where all that is. Black, we're going back to the car. And then it was Jim Dombrowski said, turn around and take a look. Look at that. The glow would come out of the flats. He says it looks like the glow out of hell. I'm here to tell you, without Christ, hell will be your home. You'll go to hell like a bullet. You'll go to hell. I got this from a missionary that came here. And his wife, after he said it, his wife said they were from down south. And after he said it, his wife said, "Preach it, brother." We were still up there. He said this: "You'll go to hell on a bale of hay soaked in gasoline." We need to get a hold of this, folks. This is the real deal. This fire was made for the devil and his angels, and for all those that reject Jesus Christ. Mark 16:16, "He that believeth and is baptized shall be saved, but he that believeth not shall be damned." You know, there's three baptisms in the Bible. And those that are tongue babblers, they want the second blessing of the second baptism, the baptism of fire. Folks, that baptism of fire is, Jesus is going to baptize all those that are not saved. It'll be a total baptism, meaning immersion, a total immersion in flames. It is hell, it is hot, horrible, and home. It is helpful, though. It's June 23. Others save with fear. Fear. The love of Christ draws people to Christ. The judgment of Christ drives people to Christ. The idea is you need to be hell scared instead of hell scorched. Amen? Belief in Jesus is the lifeline that keeps you from going to hell. What keeps you from going to hell for an unbeliever, he's being held up from being dropped in by the web of a spider, just a little thin thing. Once that breaks, man, damnation. Time keeps you from going to hell, but time is running out. Life keeps you from going to hell, but you're one breath away from hell. Jim preached that message here. You're one step away. David writes that. I'm one step away from the next life. One step. Can you feel the fingers of the flames that take hold of you? The flames of hell cast no light, for it is where there is the blackness of darkness forever. And it is hereafter, and death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death, and whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. Death and hell. Death, that's the body, and hell, that's where the soul, body and soul, will be cast in there. Not to find out, and you'll stand judgment. It's not judgment whether or not you're going or not. This great white throne judgment for the lost, it's not to find out if you're going to the lake of fire, but while you're going to the lake of fire. Come here, Red. I can't lift him, and I won't even try. They're going to grab him here by the seat of his pants, and another angel, I'm not an angel, grab him by there and by the seat of his pants. You're not going to walk there, you're not going to fall there, go ahead and sit down. But they're going to cast him alive into the lake of fire. Alive, they'll be cast in. And shall cast him into a furnace of fire. Your nose will smell the fumes of burning sulfur. Your ears will hear the roar of crashing flames. Your face feels the mist of burning ashes. Your eyes see the blackness of darkness forever. You're cast in only to sink beneath the surface to find out it is impossible to drown. There's no chance. There's no chance of rescue. You'll be lost forever. Depart from me, ye cursed, into everlasting fire. So we would have, not amateur night, but we would have a a preacher's night where we would invite people to preach. You get 10, 15 minutes. We line up a half a dozen guys, and it's done on a Sunday night. Well, it was one of the kids' friends. They preached, and he thought he could sing. His father would be on, what was that guy's name? Gene Carroll all the time, singing. He had a good voice. He'd be on the amateur hour singing. And so inheriting that voice, he thought he could sing. And he would sing here. It was actually brought up today that he sang a song. But this is what he did. He preached on hell. And he preached on his father. That his father is going to go there. And so he did this. He had maybe a bucket. Whoops. And he took a picture of his father. Do you remember that? Tammy remembers. And when he was doing it, he was crying. And it was a picture of his father. Because if he didn't get saved, he was going to burn. And he was going to go to hell. You may say, this sermon's not for me. I'm already saved. Well, do you know others that are not? Then you need to tell them about Jesus. Because they're going to die. And you know, when they were on top of that Twin Towers, you saw the videos? To avoid the flames, not only did they jump, guy stood up there. I couldn't do it. I wouldn't know how to do it. He dove off. He did a jackknife. There were people doing tricks going down with the flames. You know of anybody lost? That's why we must get the word out there, because when they die, they'll go to hell. Shake hands before we leave.